Good morning. This is Shelby Law with the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Thursday, June 26, 2025. For the next few days are shown here. We continue to see some breezy winds over western Nevada and up into southern and eastern Idaho. For the next couple of days, we'll see some breezy winds return again to portions of southern Utah Friday and Saturday. No high risk has been issued for any of these winds. They're just kind of all a little bit borderline, but still some breezy conditions out there to be aware of. And we also have some isolated mixed wet dry thunderstorms today over the central Idaho mountains and western Wyoming, and then some of those storms will linger across the north into tomorrow. Yesterday was a quiet day for showers and thunderstorms. Initial attack for the past 24 hours shows we had 9 new fires for 21 acres. Most of those fires were in northern Utah, and then large fire growth of just over 2,000 acres on our Forsyth and France Canyon fires. Current ERC values are shown here. We're seeing an upward trend across the northern portions of the Great Basin as conditions warm and dry out from the low pressure system last week, and values still remain high over Utah with a couple of stations in the Uinta Basin, southern Utah, and even southern Idaho or southern Nevada coming in above the 97th percentile. These values will begin to rise fairly rapidly as we head towards the weekend with hotter weather coming in. Again, a closer look at some of these ERCs over western Wyoming, where we have the horse fire. Those values remain well above normal for the time of year and really close to some historical maximums there. And then across the Arizona Strip, same story, well above normal for the time of year and right along those historical maximums. Smoke impacts for the next couple of days show smoke from the southern Utah fire still impacting much of central and southern Utah. And on Friday, we should see a little bit of clearing from some of that smoke. This morning's satellite imagery shows general troughiness over the Pacific Northwest here, bringing some cloud cover to Idaho. This little trough is what's increasing winds for us the next couple of days, and will also bring a chance of showers to the central Idaho mountains today. So again, looking for warming and drying across the southern Great Basin with slightly cooler temperatures and that chance of showers over the central Idaho mountains. No high risk issued for today. Again, the gusty winds are going to be right along the Sierra front and then over the higher elevations of eastern Idaho and into western Wyoming. So not really hitting the critical areas other than the Sierra front where the winds just aren't quite strong enough for high risk or red flags. Precipitation for this afternoon is expected to pop up over the central Idaho mountains, although not looking for a ton of coverage for these storms or any significant precipitation totals. On Friday, still general troughiness in place across the north with continued warm and dry conditions across the south, although we're not hitting quite our maximums just yet. No high risk for tomorrow. Breezy winds continue over eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. Relative humidities are up just a bit there, remain a little bit more elevated in the upper teens to some low 20s in the higher elevations, but we're still looking for those single-digit relative humidities over Utah and Nevada. On Saturday, we'll start to see the ridge building into the Great Basin for warming temperatures area-wide. Still see some breezy winds here and there on Saturday. Again, eastern Idaho into western Wyoming is where we're expecting the breezy winds, and maybe to some extent over northeast Utah. Maximum temperatures still warm, certainly, but not quite as high as will be as we head into the first of next week, with highs in the low to mid 90s, valley highs. 3-day precipitation totals shown here, kind of indicating where we're expecting that precip over the central Idaho mountains today, and then maybe some storms moving into portions of northern Utah and northern Nevada later as we head into late in the weekend. Sunday, the ridge builds into the Great Basin for those rapidly warming temperatures. Winds lighten up on Sunday. And then on Monday, we'll start to see things change a little bit. So the ridge still in place over the Great Basin. This is where we'll hit high 90s in our northern valleys. There's a little trough trying to develop over California that will help bring a little bit of moisture into the Great Basin, into the northern parts of the Great Basin. And then we're also going to be picking up some southerly moisture moving into Utah as well. So it may start as early as Monday with some increasing thunderstorms, but more likely Tuesdays when we'll see a little bit more widespread thunderstorm activity both in the north, Idaho and northwest Nevada, and Utah and southern Nevada. So we'll see more clarity as we get closer to this event, but definitely looking for an increase in thunderstorm activity at least by Tuesday. Um, don't be surprised to see some high risk show up on this map for that thunderstorm activity as we get a little bit closer to the event. And then those storms will continue on Wednesday. This little trough will move through the northern parts of the Great Basin, keeping thunderstorms in the forecast up there as well as over parts of Utah. 7-day precip totals shown here. Really not picking up on too much precipitation in Utah with these storms, but you can see the trend here with the moisture moving in early next week, indicating definitely storms kind of on the drier side for some locations. So concerned about ramping up IA. And then the extended forecast, July 3rd through the 9th. Continuing to show that above normal temperature trend over the northern parts of the Great Basin, below normal temperatures over the southwest. And then we also see this nice, pretty significant monsoon signal here over Arizona and moving into parts of Utah. So maybe as we get into that second week of July, those storms will start to moisten up, but concerned about them being on the drier side as we get the initial pulses. That concludes today's briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.